Thank you for joining us today on Therapy Unlocked, where we unlock the mind one conversation at a time. I am Final Girl M, and this is local living legend Katrina Mondragon.
Yes, Katrina Mondragon, licensed professional counselor, licensed mental health counselor, licensed to practice in the states of Oklahoma and Massachusetts. But just because I'm a professional doesn't mean I'm your professional. So nothing we should talk about today should be taken as medical or otherwise advice. This podcast is purely for education and amusement. Sally is the amusement today.
Education, amusement, and because I would like to be famous, as would Sally.
Have you ever gone somewhere where they took away your shoelaces?
Yes, I have. I've recently been somewhere where I have Princess Peach shoes, actually, so they let me keep these ones. So that turned out pretty nice.
Did they give you the grippy socks, though?
They did give me the grippy socks, and that was a real relief because my feet were cold. But no, I did. I had to go. I had no choice. And let me tell you, sometimes you have to go somewhere where they have the grippy socks.
Right. One time I worked at a place like that, and that was for a whole year I worked there. That was weird, very weird experience. But I worked with adolescents, like 13 to 17-year-olds. Mm-hmm. But they oftentimes they were involuntarily there.
I was involuntarily, I had a few stays in a short period of time, and one of them was willing, and that was wonderful, and two of them were unwilling, and that was a difficult time, but I got something out of each of those stays.
Which would you say was more helpful, the one where you were voluntary or involuntary?
Voluntary.
Good to know.
The one where I was voluntary, okay? So if you have to go to a grippy sock vacation, I recommend leaning into the experience. And what I called it was a vacay at the Looney Bin Comedy Club was what I called it.
I think we actually have a place in town that's called that.
We do. We do have a place in town that's called that, but this was not called that. I won't reveal the name, for privacy sakes. But that said, it was needed. It was something I had to do. I got very sick. I got very ill. I didn't even know really what was going on. But that said, it was something that I had to do. And sometimes you have to lean into an experience like that and voluntarily commit yourself to it in order to get well again.
And if you don't think you have the time, your body will let you know. Some people end up having heart attacks.
Yeah, it's a very physical experience. I don't think a lot of people realize
the mind-body connection is real, folks.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know how physical of an experience and how draining of an experience, and the reason why it's a hospital filled with nurses is because your physical body is so very affected by what is happening to your brain.
Absolutely. You make me think of a particular disorder. Have you ever heard of FND, or functional neurological disorder?
I have not.
Once upon a time, it was called conversion disorder. And what that was is like basically a psychosomatic or like a body response to a mental stimuli. Oh. So for example, somebody might go blind, but then their eyes are perfectly fine. And that would be an example of conversion disorder. Another example of like FND, the functional neurological disorder, is when people have an excessive amount of physical disabilities with no known physiological cause. And that doesn't mean it's not real. The pain is real, the tics are real, everything is real. But it doesn't necessarily have much to do with the physical body so much as the trauma that maybe one's endured or the experiences, traumatic or not. Because, not all trauma traumatizes.
Right. Right. It really doesn't matter what might cause somebody to need to go to a hospital, sort of, there are so many different codes and names and things.
You don't need to have trauma to go somewhere.
You don't need to have a specific a specific number or a specific letter in order to go to a hospital such as that. It's like any other hospital. I've always said if you broke your leg, you would go to the emergency room. Well, if you have something that is making life feel too much to bear, sometimes you need to go to this is too much to bear hospital.
Right. And it's really good for if you're having like unalive thoughts or wanting to hurt others in some type of way, then it's just good to get a safe space for you and for everyone else.
Yeah. And if you are having unalive thoughts, then you'd better to go to a hospital than to be unalived.
Or call 988. I believe that's for
Yes.
America and Canada. Am I wrong on Canada?
988 is for both America and Canada, and it is a resource for everyone, or called COPES. COPES is
That's a local one.
I thought that was a national.
Oh, I thought it was local.
I believe it is a national resource, and you can call them, and they'll
I don't know what they stand
connect
for,
you
but
with
COPES,
a crisis center. Yeah, and help you get to somebody you need to help you.
I've also heard of text ones where you can text home to like 741 741. Yeah. And just by texting that number, then it connects you with somebody who's like a crisis counselor.
And you know what? They'll feed you, they'll help you. I have this theory, as long as you have something to chew on, you will be all right. And they'll take you if you have no money, and they'll take you if you have no hope at all whatsoever. And if you feel like there's just absolutely nothing you could do, and you're just, I mean, I wasn't, but you're just broke down in a gas station bathroom, you can go to a crisis center. You can go to a mental health hospital. That's a fact of life in this country. And that's a fact of life in this country.
And I would say there's no shame. No. Like, a lot of people might not go to therapy or counseling because of the shame or stigma that unfortunately is still attached to it. But there's definitely no shame in getting help for your mental health when you're feeling like burnout.
I have no shame. I'm here on the internet. I'll tell you right now, I went on a Grippy sock vacation, and it was the best thing I did. It saved my life.
There you go.
Yeah, proud of it. So I'm here on Therapy Unlocked. My name is Final Girl M. I'm Emily. I am the personality hire sitting next to this local living legend who is a mental health professional, but not your professional. She's my sister.
Yep.
Okay, so join us again